Hello everyone. In this video we look at the effect of two important parameters that determine the rate of a chemical reaction. One is the temperature and other is the catalyst. So we look at how temperature and catalyst will be able to affect the rate of a chemical reaction. What is generally observed is for most of the chemical reactions, when temperature is increased by say around 10 degrees centigrade, the observation has been that the rate of the reaction is almost doubling. I mean, it is not like in every case it is doubling, but for most of the reactions, a 10-degree rise in temperature is resulting in almost doubling of the rate of the chemical reaction. So this dependency of rate of a chemical reaction is linked to the rate constant K dependency on temperature. Because if you look at rate of a chemical reaction, yes, it depends upon two parameters. I mean, any reaction that we take, what we are been saying is rate is equal to K into the concentration of the reactant power N, where N is the order. So it is going to be depending upon the concentration unless it is zero order. And the other parameter here is the K value. So K value will be the rate constant. We have not talked much about the rate constant. So if the temperature is playing a role on the rate of the reaction, then temperature must be having a relation to the rate constant. And the first of the attempts to explain how the K value will depend upon temperature is made by Van't Hoff, where he proposed an empirical formula which is further supported by Arrhenius, and he even gave the physical significance of the terms involved in the expression. That's the reason why we will call it as Arrhenius equation. So Arrhenius equation is an equation which talks about how the rate constant K will depend upon temperature. So Arrhenius equation is K will be equal to a constant A, which we call as the Arrhenius constant. So A will be called as the Arrhenius constant, A times e to the power minus EA by RT. So small e is basically, in mathematics we will use this number, we will call it as exponential constant. Small e is exponential constant. I mean, it is not required here to understand what it is, but generally to tell you what this is, it will be 1 plus 1 by 1 factorial plus 1 by 2 factorial plus 1 by 3 factorial and so on. So this will go up to infinity. So this is the value of the exponential constant E. It is a mathematical constant. And the EA term here, E subscript A, is what we will be calling as activation energy. So we'll talk about this in the further discussion. R is of course the universal gas constant, whose value in the SI system will be 8.314 joule per mole per Kelvin, and T is the temperature in Kelvin scale. So this is the Arrhenius expression, which tells the dependency of rate constant on two important parameters. One is the activation energy and second is the temperature. So if you look at the chemical reactions, any chemical reaction we take, whether we are taking an endothermic reaction or exothermic reaction, let us say we take this one, H2 plus I2 gives rise to 2HI. Let this the reaction that we are going to see. In this, hydrogen gas and iodine gas are basically the reactants, and the HI will be the product. So if you look at the potential energy diagram, we have the reactants sitting over here. This is the energy level of the reactants. We are representing it as A level. And this is the energy level of the product, which is we can see below. So which means in this reaction, the energy change delta H is going to be negative, because the products are having lesser energy than the reactants. So delta H value will be generally energy of products minus energy of the reactants. So this will be an we can see exothermic reaction. Endothermic means product energy will be higher. So that apart, so that is why we can see the delta H value over here. What we want to focus on here is that we will not be able to directly go from reactants to products like this. We will be going through what we call as an intermediate. So we can see that intermediate or activated complex, where to understand this in terms of the real chemical significance, if we have the H2 molecule and iodine molecule coming like this, we can have an temporary kind of an activated complex. So after breaking this, we are going to get two molecules of Hi. So this complex is going to have some energy which will be higher, because always the activated complex energy value will be higher. So in order to undergo the reaction, the H2 and I2 molecules should have an energy which is this particular gap, the gap between the energy of the reactant level and the energy of the activated complex. This gap is what we will be calling as the activation energy. So only those molecules that have this activation energy, only those molecules, they will be able to participate in the reaction. So even though the other molecules they collide, all those molecules that are undergoing collision will not be able to participate in the reaction. They will not be able to lead to formation of product. Only those molecules that have activation energy, they will be able to lead to product. So if you look at the entire set of reactant species, now our focus will be on what fraction of molecules are having energy more than the activation energy, because the energy profile will be spread. It is not like because we have talked about in the gaseous state also that the energy of the gas particles or molecules will be distributed. So no two molecules may have the same velocities and same energies, and it will be continuously changing. So we look at how the energy profile of the reactant particles will be distributed, and we want to know like what fraction of particles are having energy more than activation energy, because only that fraction of particles can be leading to product formation. So if you look at the typical profile of the fraction of particles having energy more than the activation energy, this is an energy diagram. So if you look at the kinetic energy of particles and fraction of molecules that have the particular energy, the peak value here, the energy possessed by the maximum fraction of particles, is what we call as the most probable kinetic energy. And let us say somewhere over here we have the activation energy. So this will be the fraction. If you look at the area below the curve, if you look at the area below this curve, this will give us what is the fraction of particles having energy more than the activation energy. So only this fraction of particles will be resulting in the product formation. Now we'll see what happens if we change the temperature. Let us say this diagram is for a temperature T, and we want to see what happens if we simply increase the temperature by 10 degrees, because we have been talking about the importance of 10 degrees. I mean, we can generally say what happens if we increase the temperature, but here we are taking sample value of increment of 10 unit. So if you increase it by 10, what is observed is, we are drawing the second graph over here. So the second graph that we are drawing here is, we can observe it. So this is the second graph. This is the graph for the energy profile at T plus 10 temperature. One thing that we see is the area below the curve, we can see it is getting additional value. So we'll see that the area for the temperature curve T plus 10 will be having additional molecules, because the area over here will be higher. So as a result of it, the outcome will be, we are now going to have a higher fraction of particles or higher fraction of reactant species having energy more than activation energy. Means these many number of particles are now going to be leading to the formation of product. So as a result of it, in a given time we are going to be now getting more product, and hence more will be the rate of the reaction, so to say. This is how we can analyze the effect of temperature on the rate of the reaction or the rate constant value by looking at the energy profile of the molecules. And we can even do the analysis in terms of pure quantitative estimation, how the value of K, rate constant, will depend upon temperature quantitatively by looking at the Arrhenius expression. So Arrhenius expression is K is equal to Arrhenius constant A into e power minus EA by RT. Now if you take a natural logarithm on both sides, what we will be having is ln K will be equal to ln of a into e power minus ea by rt. So we have two terms here. First term is a, second term is exponential term. So we have a property of logarithm. So log of a into b will be log a plus log b. So we are using the property of the logarithm. Now here natural logarithm means base will be ln of e power minus ea by rt will be simply minus ea by rt, because the power will come to the before of the ln value, and the ln e will be 1. So if you look at the properties of logarithm, log will be natural logarithm to the base 10, and ln basically means logarithm to the base e. Log 10 value will be 1, log e to the base e will be 1. So generally if you have any number, log a to the base a will be 1. So this is what we have as an expression of the Arrhenius relation in terms of the logarithmic form. So what we are finally having is ln k is equal to ln a minus ea by rt. So ln k will be equal to ln a minus ea by rt. Now this we can even look at it in terms of the graphical representation of it. If you look at the graphical representation of it, if we take ln k to be the y coordinate and 1 by t to be the x coordinate. So here we can take 1 by t to the x coordinate. So if you just look at it, the function will be like this. The function we have is ln k is equal to ln a minus ea by r into 1 by t. So we are just rearranging and writing. So this is like y is equal to c minus m into x. So if you compare these two, then what we'll clearly see is the graph will be a straight line. We can see that this is here a straight line, and the slope of the straight line here is nothing but minus ea by r. So m value is slope value is minus ea by r, and the intercept. So if 1 by t value is 0, if 1 by t value is becoming 0, this entire term will be 0, and the value of ln k will be equal to ln a. So this is what we have as a graphical analysis of the Arrhenius expression. And we can even do how the value of k will change with regard to temperature. So what we have is ln k is equal to ln a minus ea by rt. So if you look at say for example two temperature values, ln k2 will be ln a. We are assuming that a value will not change, minus ea by rt2, and at temperature T1, ln K1 is equal to ln A minus EA by RT1. These are the two values at different temperatures. If we subtract, let us call it as equation 2 and equation 1. We'll just do equation 2 minus equation 1. So what we'll have on the LHS is ln K2 minus ln K1 is equal to RHS. Ln A will be cancelled, minus EA by RT2 plus EA by RT1. So using the property of logarithm, log A minus log B will be K2 by K1. Ln K2 by K1 is equal to, we can take EA by R common out. What we have is 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2. So we can even express it as ln of K2 by K1 will be equal to EA by R into T2 minus T1 by T1 T2, and we can convert this natural logarithm into decimal logarithm, because any number natural logarithm value will be 2.303 times decimal logarithm of that particular number. So ln of K2 by K1 can be written as 2.303 log K2 by K1 will be equal to EA by R into T2 minus T1 by T1 T2. And we can see one thing here, that if we increase the temperature, if T2 value is higher, if T2 is higher, that would mean that K2 value will be higher. Means as we increase the temperature, the value of rate constant is going to be increasing, and hence the rate of the reaction also will be increasing. So this is how we look at the analysis of temperature dependency based upon the Arrhenius equation. So we look at a sample question based on that. Mostly the questions based upon the Arrhenius expression we will be given a particular scenario of temperature change or something, and we will be asked to find the Arrhenius expression constants. Typically they will be asking us to find either the activation energy or the Arrhenius constant A value. So look at this illustration question. The rate constants of a reaction at 500 Kelvin, this is temperature 1, and 700 Kelvin, this is temperature 2. The rate constant of a reaction at 500 Kelvin and 700 Kelvin are 0.02 second inverse and 0.07 second inverse. These are the two rate constants. Now using this, we need to calculate EA value and the Arrhenius constant A value. So this is a pretty straightforward question. We will be using the relation of how the K value will change with respect to temperature. So remember what we had, 2.303 log of K2 by K1 is equal to EA by R into T2 minus T1 by T1 T2. This is what we had before. So we'll just bring the 2.303 to the RHS. What we have is log of K2 by K1 is equal to EA by R into T2 minus T1 by T1 T2. In this formula, we know the value of K2. K2 is the 0.07, K1 is 0.02, and R value, the gas constant value in terms of SI unit is 8.314 joule per mole per Kelvin, and T2 is 700, T1 is 500. So if you substitute the values, and we'll see that in this the only unknown variable is the activation energy. So we'll simplify the logarithm. So this we can do by using the log table. We'll see that the log of, if you multiply both numerator and denominator by 100, what we'll get is, this is like 7 by 2. Log of 7 by 2 is log 3.5. Log 3.5 will be 0.544, will be equal to EA into 5.714 into 10 power minus 4 divided by 19.15. So this 2.303 into 8.314 will be 19.15. So if you take the terms to the left hand side, what we will be having is the EA value. So EA value will be 0.544 into 19.5 divided by 5.714 into 10 power minus 4. So this problem does involve especially the problems based on the Arrhenius equation. They will involve some calculation, because we do get logarithm and we do get a good amount of multiplication division operations. So if we simplify it, finally we are going to be getting the value to be 18,230.8 joules. So this is the value of activation energy. If it is a complete examinations, we can do some approximations and then get the answer, because if you see the four options, it is not like they will be 18,230, 18,210. We will not have options like that. If one option is given as 18,230, other will be some 14,000, another will be some 28,000. So we'll have a significant gap between them. So we have room for doing some small approximations and getting the answer quickly. Now we got the value of activation energy. So once we get the value of activation energy, we can find the value of Arrhenius constant A. So if you look at the equation, K will be equal to Arrhenius constant A into e to the power minus EA by RT. So here K value is 0.02. If we take the temperature of 500 Kelvin, we have to take any one data point is equal to A into e to the power of minus EA by R into T. So we are taking the temperature 500. So EA value is 18,230.8, R is 8.314, temperature is 500. Now if we simplify the value, what we are going to be getting is, so how do we simplify this? We will simplify it by using the logarithmic operations. So if we take a log and then anti-log, we will be able to find what is the value of this e to the power of minus 18,230.8 by 8.314 into 500. So if you do the simplification, we will get the answer to be A value 1.61. If it is complete examinations, then we will see that sometimes we will have the options like they will give the Arrhenius constant value in terms of the exponential power itself. So we don't need to simplify the exponential power, like they will give the options like e power minus 4.6, like that they will give the options in terms of the powers of E itself. So this is the kind of questions we will have on using of the Arrhenius equation. Now moving on, while we talked about the importance of temperature on the rate of the reaction or the rate constant, we use a parameter called as temperature coefficient of rate constant. It's nothing but we will define it as the ratio of rate constant of reaction at two temperatures which are having a difference of 10 degrees centigrade. Means, to put it in very simple way, the temperature coefficient of rate constant can be defined as K at T plus 10 by K at temperature T. But usually we will take the two temperatures to be 298 and 308. So we'll define the temperature coefficient of rate constant as the rate constant value at 308 Kelvin and divide by the rate constant value at 298 Kelvin. And as we have been talking about it, for good number of reactions, this value will be approximately 2. So this is what we will call as temperature coefficient of rate constant. Even in some previous year medical entrance examinations, these kind of questions have come. So this is based upon straight application of temperature coefficient of the rate constant. Rate constant of a reaction increases for every 10 degrees centigrade. I think it should be increases by 2 times. There is a typo in the question. So rate constant of a reaction increases by 2 times for every 10 degrees raise. If rate constant is 0.02 mole per liter per second. So by looking at this unit itself, we can tell that this would be, if the rate constant is mole per liter per second, this is the unit, then it must be a zero order reaction. If the rate constant is 0.02 at 25 degrees centigrade, what is its value at 55 degrees centigrade? So what we have is the value of rate constant at 25 degrees centigrade is given to us as 0.02. They are saying that the rate constant is doubling, is becoming 2 times for every 10 degrees. So which means if we move from 25 to 35, then it becomes 0.02 into 2. 35, if we move to 45, it becomes double of that, means another into 2 will come. If we move from 45 to 55, it will become 0.02. Already we have 2 square here, another 2 will come, it will be 2 cube, which is going to be 8. So the K value at 55 degrees centigrade will be equal to 0.02 into 8, which is going to be 0.16 mole per liter per second. So this is the value of K at 55 degrees centigrade. So in terms of generalizing this, if we have a rate constant at a particular temperature is K, then if we have n number of these 10 degree steps, so we have if you are moving from 25 to 35 means it is 1 step. If you are moving from 25 to 45 means it is actually 1 and second, totally 2 steps will come. If you are moving from 25 to 55 means 3 steps will come. If you are having n number of steps, then the final rate constant K will be K dash will be equal to K into 2 to the power of n. So this formula we can remember to answer any such questions. So these are the kind of questions we can expect on the temperature coefficient of the rate constant. Now we talked about how temperature will be able to affect rate of the chemical reaction. Let us see how the catalyst will be able to affect rate of the chemical reaction. So the effect of catalyst, which is seen in most of the reactions, like from hydrogenation of oils to the Haber's process to contact process. So a lot of industrial the reactions we will be using catalyst because they will be able to speed up the chemical reactions. So what a catalyst will do, so any reaction, if a catalyst is used, a catalyst will be able to alter the reaction path. So what it does is, if say for example the thick line is the original reaction path without the catalyst, where we can see that this will be the activation energy without the catalyst, we can see it's a higher value. The use of catalyst will change the course of the reaction, it will alter the path through a mechanism where the activation energy requirement will be lesser. We can see that if this is the the activated complex normal. This is the activated complex with catalyst. We can see that the energy of the activated complex where we use the catalyst will be lesser. Thereby, the energy of activation when we use the catalyst also will be lesser. Now, as the EA value is reduced, because if you look at the relation as per the Arrhenius expression, K will be equal to Arrhenius constant A into e to the power minus EA by RT. So just to make it more clear, we can write it as A by EA by RT. So this is the value of K. Now what we see is as EA value is decreased, since the power is in the denominator, we will see that the K value will be increasing. So the effect of catalyst on rate constant will happen because the catalyst will be able to alter the path in a way where the activation energy value will be lowered. So this is how a catalyst will be able to speed up the rate of the reaction, because it is going to increase the rate constant K value. So this is about the effect of catalyst on the rate of the chemical reaction. And the effect of catalyst and the effect of temperature, both of them are explained by an alternative theory which we call as the collision theory. So Arrhenius formula is more of an empirical relation, but we have the collision theory which is based upon certain assumptions of how the reactions would proceed when the reactant particles are actually colliding, and it gives an theoretical explanation for the terms involved in the mathematical or empirical formula. So if you look at the collision theory, it is simply based upon the kinetic theory of gases. Remember, in +1 gaseous state chapter, we talked about the kinetic theory of gases. So where the gas particles will be randomly moving in different directions, undergo collision, and all the collisions are supposed to be perfectly elastic in nature. So these are all some of the assumptions of the kinetic theory of gases. And as per this theory, if we have reactant molecules which we assume them to be like an hard sphere, the reaction will occur between them when these molecules will collide with each other. So reaction will proceed when say for example these are the reactant molecules. When they come and collide, then as a result of the collision, the reaction is supposed to happen. So this is the fundamental assumption of the collision theory. So collision theory assumes that the reaction will be proceeding when the collision between the reactant particles happen. And the number of collisions per second per unit volume of the reaction mixture. So we have a reaction mixture that is given to us. The number of collisions per second which happen per unit volume of the reaction mixture is what we will be calling as the collision frequency. So if we look at the overall rate of the reaction, then overall rate of the reaction will depend upon, say for example, the concentration term. So concentration term will tell what is the overall number of particles that are available. In that, if we look at all the particles will not have the energy which is needed for them to be able to lead to products. And this fraction, we already saw that this fraction is basically e power minus EA by RT. So this will indicate what fraction of the particles are having energy more than the activation energy. If we multiply this fraction with the overall concentration of particles, it will give us what is the concentration of particles having energy more than the activation energy. Now, just because they are having energy more than activation energy does not mean that it is going to result in the formation of product. It is going to result in the formation of product only when they are undergoing collision. So if you multiply this term with the collision frequency Z, then it is going to give us the concentration of particles having energy more than the activation energy and the ones that will undergo the collision in a given time. So this is what will be the rate of the reaction. And we will look at these two terms, Z into e power minus EA by RT. This is what will be the rate constant as per the collision theory. So if you look at the similarity between the Arrhenius formula and the collision theory concept, in Arrhenius concept we have in place of Z, there we had Arrhenius constant A, which does not have much of the theoretical explanation. But here we have an explanation for Z, which is the collision frequency. Collision frequency will talk about the number of collisions per second per unit volume of the reaction mixture. So this is how we will be measuring the rate of a chemical reaction as per the collision theory. So here we are using the idea of the fraction of particles having energy more than activation energy, and also using the concept of the collisions. But sometimes what happens is, if you look at the collisions in which the molecules are colliding with sufficient kinetic energy. So sufficient kinetic energy, we will generally call this as threshold energy. Threshold energy means the energy of the reactant particles plus the activation energy. So only the particles having this much amount of energy, because they should have their normal energy is energy of the reactant particles plus this much should be there. So this is what we will be calling as the threshold energy. So if you look at collisions in which molecules are colliding with sufficient kinetic energy, which we are calling as a threshold energy, and proper orientation, then only we will be able to facilitate the breaking of bonds between the reactant species, and that will lead to the formation of the new bonds, or it will lead to the formation of the products. So such collisions where we are talking about having a proper orientation, we will be calling them as effective collisions. So what are effective collisions? Basically the collisions which happen between particles having energy more than the threshold energy, and the orientation is also proper. So if you look at any simple reaction like the CH3Br, methyl bromide reacting with OH minus, when there is a collision, there will be a nucleophilic substitution that will give us methyl alcohol and bromide ion. If you see the orientation like this, where the OH is approaching in the same direction where the Br is present, these type of collisions will be improper orientation collisions. These are not going to give us any product. Whereas if you look at the collision where the OH minus is approaching from exactly the opposite direction, if Br species is here, if the OH minus is coming from exactly opposite direction, then this will be a proper orientation collision. So the reason why for some reactions the actual rate of the reaction is lesser than what is predicted based upon the collision theory is explained by using what we call as the idea of probability factor. So probability factor, which is related to the effective collisions idea, is dependent upon the assumption that not all collisions will be properly oriented and only some collisions will be properly oriented. So what we have is the rate of the reaction will now be expressed in terms of, previously we had Z e power minus Ea by RT into the concentration term. So we are not talking about concentration term much because that is related to the order of the reaction. So we'll have concentration power n. We are not talking much about it. But look at this. This is what we have proposed first. But now we will introduce one more parameter, which is say we can use a symbol P or something. So P is supposed to be representing what we call as the probability factor. So probability factor will be a measure of the effective collisions. It will be telling what fraction of particles will be having proper orientation. So only this fraction of particles will be able to result in the formation of products. So this is about the collision theory of the dependency of the rate of reaction on the temperature and activation energy. So the dependency on activation energy and temperature, as we see in the other term, e to the power of minus Ea by RT, is very much similar between both the Arrhenius concept as well as the collision theory concept. The only idea here is the Arrhenius expression, A value is just discussed as a constant. Not much theoretical explanation is provided as to what is this value of A. But here in the collision theory, we are trying to understand in terms of how this Z is coming and how the Z will be modified by using the probability factor. So this is about the collision theory of the rate constant. So with this we have covered the chemical kinetics, and you can work out problems based on whatever the things that we discussed, particularly the first order reactions and the integrated rate expression for the first order, the half-life concept, and the time it takes for a certain amount of consumption to happen. So mostly in this chemical kinetics, the first order kinetics problems will be important. And also look for some theoretical questions, especially in the collision theory and the pseudo order reactions. So wherever we have some theoretical aspects, do take a look at it. We'll see in the next chapter.